Good evening, welcome back to Iron United's YouTube channel. Tonight we are doing a gift of the gab. It's the night or a couple of days after West Ham have been beaten by Manchester City. We have got a lot to cover, so we're just going to go straight into it. Tonight we're joined by Luke over there, still right beside me, and Richard is right there. So guys, we have come off the defeat to Manchester City. You may have seen my review, which was shit, but I was under a lot of pressure and I took the wrong charger into the stadium, so I just done one in the car on the way out. Useless. So straight over to you, Rich. Rich, give me your kind of rundown of the game.
I think we can take a lot of positives from it personally. We're playing against the best team in the league, and I think it was the first time under Moyes, other than the Leicester game, that the players actually looked like they knew what they were doing. They had a game plan and they followed it down to a T, especially in the first half. I thought we did everything brilliantly in the first half. We were compact. We played on the counter. Ogbonna's got his goal. But we really knew what was coming in the second half. I think it was just a matter of time, really, when City were going to break down the doors. But otherwise, I think we can take so many positives from the game. Normally, after defeat, I'm down, I'm sad. But, you know, I was really upbeat after the performance. And hopefully, going into the Arsenal and Chelsea games, we can nick something from those games and take a bit of positives from it. Yeah. So I was pretty upbeat, to be honest.
Absolutely. Still, one of the biggest things you've been calling for all season since you've been coming on our show is the keeper situation. It was a forced change, but obviously due to the loan thing. But what was your opinion on Mr. Adrian's performance?
Well, Mr. Adrian proved why he should be in goal. You know, we were all expecting it to be a cricket score against City. And I think no one's going to turn around and say that it wasn't down to some of his good saves. I know. I saw on, I think on Twitter or Facebook that someone said, "Oh yeah, several saves for the camera." I don't care if he did the saves for the camera; he saved them. You know, exactly. and he played really well. And you know, and he commanded his defence. He was talking to them all the time. He was shouting at them, making sure that they knew what they needed to do. And it's what we've been missing, and I was really pleased for him. And the overall performance, yeah. I mean, I think we've said it before. We're West Ham, and we're not expecting to go out there and win every single game, but it's the performance that the players put in, and I was pleased with the performance. You know, okay, we lost. You know, we didn't take anything from the game in terms of points, but the performance was great. And Adrian, Rice, you know, They played well. They played really well, and I was that's encouraging. Yeah,
taking me on nicely to that young lad who we've been calling for to play, especially in his natural position, which is centre half, and it's Declan Rice. So, Luke, tell me what your thoughts on his performance.
I was relieved to see finally some youth get a chance. I mean, Rice has had a few games here and there this season already, but he's still classed as youth, and it's just nice to know that we can kind of call upon, you know, one of those reserve guys to fill in for, in my opinion, a very reliable defender in Reed. You know, he's carried the defence for a long time. But, yeah, I'm not sold on him straight away being brilliant. I've seen a few times where he's maybe made a mistake or two here and there, but that's to be expected. I'm not going to hound him for that. But yesterday, he was very assured in the first half, and Man City weren't going to get anything past him particularly. He had a really good, solid first half. The second half, he has got a bit of abuse. I've seen myself on Twitter and Facebook and what have you. I can understand if you're gutted and you want to just vent and you want to rant at someone, but in my opinion, with the consensus of the whole game, you can't just go for it possibly is his mistake, but in the day, you're talking about a world-class team and a young kid who's having to cover for that, and especially for the winning goal. I don't think there's anything he can do. I mean, if he gets anywhere near Silva, it's a penalty. So it's like, what does he do? You know, he's got two players. But overall, I think the guy, there's a huge learning curve for him. He can take his chin held up high. Be proud of that performance. Hopefully, he gets a few more game times. So I'd love to see him and other players from the youth get chances as well. So, well done, Rice.
Yeah, I was at the game yesterday, and I tell you what, like throughout the whole game, even in the second half, I thought that boy was head and shoulders above any of our defenders. I thought Zabaleta had a really good game as well, much better than what he has been in the past couple of weeks. But Declan Rice, the way he commanded, the way his strength took over, just running the ball out for a goal kick or kicking the ball out, playing it simple. For me personally, for an 18-year-old boy to come in and step in and be marking Sergio Aguero, Manchester City's all-time goal scorer, like top level Argentinian international, and if you think back to the game, what did Aguero really do? And in actual fact, I genuinely put that down to a lot of what Declan Rice did. For me personally, Declan Rice was unbelievable. I was so happy to see him. He was my biggest positive when I looked at the team sheet, and I felt like it was alongside Adrian in terms of West Ham players, the two best performers. But I really want to see Declan Rice, and I'm really excited to see Declan Rice and Winston Reid if Winston Reid does get fit. I think I'm going to pick up on again is the player that I want to bring up again is Ogbonna. Great goal. When we celebrated, we didn't even know who scored the goal. Nobody knew who scored the goal. It took us about 10 minutes to go around the whole stand, and someone could get on their phone and go, who actually scored the goal? So we went mental. But if I'm being completely honest, it could be quite harsh, but I think that's really all he did, because I think that Declan Rice, the 18-year-old boy, was actually covering him again and controlling where his spatial awareness was. He has no spatial awareness in the football track at all. He has none. He steps out of position all the time.
I think you might see when Collins comes back, you could possibly see 3 centre backs there with Collins, Rice, and Reid when he's fit. Absolutely. That's a possibility. Because Creswell played like a centre back yesterday, didn't he? Yeah. Like a left-sided centre back. But I think the team selection going forward is going to be interesting. I've praised Adrian, you praised Rice. Are these guys going to play next time? When we've got Hart back, when we've got fit players back. That's the thing I'm worried about. Moyes has said that he'll pick, he'll give the senior players a chance. And then he'll pick players on merit, etc., and all that stuff. He's got to stick to his word now. He's really got to stick to his word. But it's going to be interesting what he does against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Who whether Hart comes back in, whether Rice keeps his place, because as far as I'm concerned, both players should. That'll be interesting.
Absolutely. And Rich, I think one thing, a couple of players you're a big fan of, and as am I, is Czech Kouati. And before we were talking about the Manchester City game, some of us were of the opinion that him and Pedro Obiang should have been dropped. But how do you rate Czech's first half against Manchester City?
Look, I think he did what he had to do. He knew his job was simply to be as compact as possible with Pedro Obiang in the middle, try break down play, try keep the ball, keep hold of the ball, spread it wide to Masuaku when he could. Unfortunately, he's got injured. Look, to be honest, Czech hasn't been himself this season, in my opinion. I don't think he's been great, personally. I am, as you said, one of his biggest fans. I do love the guy. I've met him personally, and I think he's a top chap. So, yeah, I'm gutted he's injured, but hopefully, if Noble comes back for the Arsenal-Chelsea game, which I think could well happen, I think hopefully Noble can do a job in the middle of midfield with Obiang, who I thought had a good game.
Yeah, and still, what do you think of Obiang? Because I was personally calling for Kouati and Obiang to be dropped. I thought they hadn't been performing that well at the beginning of the season, but
it's fair to say that they haven't been the driving force that we were all hoping for in the centre of midfield. I think we've all been crying out for an Obiang-Kouati pairing.
Yeah.
And now that we've got it, they've let us down, and it's a real shame, because I think Obiang's a class player. I think Kouati's a great player. I think they do complement each other, but it's just not been working for them, and hopefully Moyes will stick with them and get the most out of them. We've just mentioned Noble, and I would be worried for Noble to come in against Chelsea. He'll be overrun. I'd rather see someone like, if Kouati's is still injured by the weekend, I'd rather see Lanzini drop in with Obiang in the middle there, and then put more forward-thinking players ahead of him. So have Lanzini sort of do that.
That could work.
That sort of role. But we know Lanzini doesn't backtrack, But it depends on what we play. If we play 5 at the back again with Obiang holding, that could work, and Lanzini can be the pivot between, the midfield and the front line. But sorry, mate, but I don't want to see Noble back for the Chelsea game.
I was one still that actually, I mean, I love Noble for a squad player, etc. And I actually did call for him to potentially come back into the team, because I just thought, you know what, if Obiang and Kwati haven't been performing, if you drop both of them and bring Noble in, etc. I really wasn't impressed with Kwati, and this is going to be the first time I'm actually going to make that really call. And on Man City, I felt like he was all over the place. And one thing I did notice was, when their keeper was kicking the ball out, he was running with his back to the ball quite a lot. He looked really uncomfortable. And like you said, Richard, something's happened. Like, it's not been his season this year. It could be the fact that he's been playing with players that are too similar to him, and we're not playing to his advantages. But the player I was impressed with was Pedro Obiang in the middle of the field. I felt like he was back to his old best. Luke, what are your thoughts on kind of the midfield of West Ham from the Man City game?
Yeah, it's not. To be honest with you, it was from that Leicester game when I saw the line-up and I saw it was Kiai and Obiang. I was like, Christmas come early for me. I was like, finally we're getting to see the team out. I think we've all been crying for months. But there's something with Kiai that ever since that, especially since I think his first season and the last season at Bowling, it was like our Vieira. It was like, box to box midfielder. It was almost like when we had Diarmi with us, and he was like 10 times the player Diarmi was. And it was like, Christ, this player is going to really take us to our midfield to another level. And it was like, you could just rely on him. He'd pick the ball up in defence, he'd take it past the opposition, and he'd be almost near the opposition box in about, 10 seconds, something like that. But this time, he seems sluggish. He seems out of ideas. He's not great in a tackle. I don't know what happened with him. I don't know if it's whether he's got a wrist injury that doesn't hurt. It comes to a point when you kind of scrape the barrel for reasons why he's not performing like he is, but then you could probably say about every player in the midfield and every player in a team who doesn't perform, because let's face it, apart from the previous game and the Leicester game, we've been shocking this season, and the 4-0 against Everton was kind of an epitome of how we've been this year, which is crap. It's awful, and beyond that, words can't describe it. How frustrating it is. And we've got one in the midfields. I said it the other day. I said that we've got a great team on paper, but for some reason we just can't seem to click.
Yeah.
And you've got this thing where Obiang and Kiati cancel each other out. They're actually completely different players. Yeah. You've got Obiang, who will literally just sit in that midfield around that centre circle area, ping balls left, right, and centre. That's what he's good at. On his game, he hasn't done it this season. He hasn't been on his game this season, but at times he's had one game here or two games there where he's been on spot on. Kiati is the kind of player that doesn't spray balls around. He runs with the ball and he finds space and he opens up play for the rest of the players. It's in a way, it kind of would help out Lanzini more by getting into those areas of attacking areas. We can switch it to the wings or to the forwards. And unfortunately, he just hasn't been on form this year. So, look, we've got Arsenal and Chelsea next. They ain't going to be any easier. But if we can put in a performance half of what we did against Man City, I'll be happy. And if we concede less goals than I think we're going to do, especially with Adrian and goal, then all for it. But for the midfield, it's just so tough at the minute. It's just so tough.
A welcome sight. Or maybe before we even say that, has anyone got any other points they want to kind of discuss on Man City game before we can?
Yeah, I have actually.
Right, go for it.
I've seen a lot of people online saying that they're not happy with the result, which is okay. It's fair enough. Everyone can moan about the result. I'm probably going to be a rarity with this opinion, but that was probably the only game I'll ever watch as a West Ham fan and say I don't actually mind the fact that we lost, because going from what I thought we were going to get, I genuinely thought it was going to be close to double figures or double figures. I'm not exaggerating with that. I'm being serious, because if you lose 4-0 to Everton and you're then going away to the league leaders who are popping goals in like it's nothing, it's going to get worrying. So I anticipated that game. And it was 0-0 at 40 minutes. Seemed like a win to me. I was like, this is incredible.
I tell you what, we sang like it was a win. 0-0 and how shit they were.
I do not blame you. And the fact that when we went away, honestly, I think I had a report, just coming switching off at half time. And Ogbonna scored, and I screamed like a little girl. I just let out this whelp. It was unreal. I was just thinking, this is unreal. But it was one of them games where, look, they were going to come back second half. But I think people have to look at it from a slightly more realistic point of view. That was an insane result for us to get against Man City away from home, and the fact that the winning goal for me was just world class. The ball from De Bruyne and the finish itself, it was so unlucky because for me, Adrian didn't deserve to lose that game. He deserved to win that game. It was like De Gea the other night for Man United. He was saving everything. Nothing's getting past him. It's gutting, but the reason why I'm calling it out now is because I've seen certain comments saying, "Oh, this is crap. We keep losing. We've got to get some perspective at some point."
I think. Look, tell you what, I'll hold my hands up. I said to you earlier on when we were talking, I was like shit. We're still losing. But then, just when you said that comment there, if I think about my raw emotion when I left Swansea when we won the game, I've never felt so deflated after a victory.
Yeah.
When we got beat yesterday, I remember leaving with a little bit of a buzz on the go because I was thinking, all right, okay. If this West Ham can turn up and we can turn some of these performances into victories, then we know that's the West Ham we want to see. Still, Rich, has any of you got any points on what Luke had said?
No, I just wanted to say that I'm with Sal on the Noble situation. Don't get me wrong. I also don't believe he should be coming back into starting lineup at all. And he actually does have a hip injury, which I actually forgot about. That's why he was left out of the City game. So I don't even think he might not even be fit for the Arsenal game or the Chelsea game. So that's another thing to ponder. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what midfield Moisey goes with.
I think we've all got a bit of a step in our stride now. You know, the last few games that have been reviewed, you know, the way we performed, you know, we've all felt deflated and defeated, and we didn't know where the next win was going to come or the next good game was going to come. The fact that we played so well yesterday, and I know we defended for like 90% of the game, but you know, we held, as Luke said, we held the best team. You know, we almost got something out of that game, and that's encouraging. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is, you know, we were a little bit encouraged after the Leicester game, and we're saying, yeah, we're gonna move on from here, and I hope we pick up from here. I really
That's
do.
the worry.
It is the worry. And you know what? We may have to play 5 at the back from now on, you know, at home and away. But if it's going to grind out results, then sod it. Do it. Yeah. Get through this horrid season, and then rebuild. And if Moyes manages to sort of get us out of this scrap, you know, then fair dues to him. You know, he would have done what he needed to do. You know. I just hope we pick up. I just hope we don't sit back on Saturday and let Chelsea. You know, yeah, it will be. But I've got a nice feeling about it. And I know I might be a bit, you know, taking the hard stuff, but I've got a good feeling about what's to come.
Oh, sorry, go on.
We can go and win the next 2 games, and then we'll lose against bloody West Brom or something like that. You know, that or Newcastle or whoever will be the next up.
Food for thought is the fact that Antonio's come off injured. We don't really know what's happening with that. Kouate's come off injured. We're not too sure what's happening with that. We don't know how bad Winston Reid's injury is. There are injuries building up in our squad. Positive to be taken is Chicharito's back in training. So hopefully he's going to be having something to say. What are you saying?
Did you see the video that West Ham put up on the official site?
I've not seen that yet.
No. For the first bit of it, it's really good to see him running around, and you see it through gritted teeth because you think he's going to pull up in a second now. But they recorded about 7 shots of him taking pop shots on goal, missed every single one of them. And I hope that he's saving his misses. He's saving his on target shots for the game, because if he's going to shoot like that again, he can go back to Leverkusen. I love him.
I tell you what, like I just don't buy the multimedia team that they've promoted at West Ham. I think they're terrible. And to be honest, we can't slag off. We have one of the best finishers in the world playing at our club, and we need to play. It's just exactly as it is in the tin. We need to play him to his advantage. We as West Ham need to realise we've got this guy, and we need to play him to his advantage. So there's a positive. He's coming back into the side, so we'll see what happens. We've got a Chelsea preview coming up this week, so make sure you subscribe to our channel, have a look out for that. But I suppose that brings us on nicely. I'm just looking at a thing here before we go into an interesting fact, which is pissing a lot of people off recently. We'll talk about the FA Cup third round draw. We have drawn Shrewsbury Town at Shrewsbury. League 2, is it League 2? Top of League 1 or League 2, is it? Does anyone know?
It's embarrassing either way if we lose, put it that way.
And it is away from home, so the board will be happy with that. But what
I think they're doing well though.
Yeah,
I think they're top of the league.
They're always doing well when they play us.
Yeah, it's really tough. League 1, top of League 1. But one thing that it is going to have an impact in is our fixture pile up and the debacle and mess up that is the fixture changes. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff online and people talking about, oh, it's not the club, it's not the club, it's not the club. But how can it not be the club if the club know we've got fixtures coming up? Yeah, I understand there's TV fixtures, I'm fully aware of that, but they have literally changed the Tottenham game with how many days notice? Like 28 days? No, 27 days, something like that.
Yeah.
And people have booked flights, people have booked hotels, people have taken days off. It's not about, it's just like people have actually taken time off to be able to go to this game, and they've moved this game to a Thursday evening, which, as we know how difficult it is to go to a game even on a Friday evening, let alone a Thursday evening, which pretty much on the 4th of January most people are back to work after the festive period. It's also on top of that, it's 2 days after, as it stands, if the fixture doesn't move, the West Brom game, then it's going to be into an FA Cup weekend. And I'm not bothered about the players. I believe the players should be fit enough, and that's just professional football. They get paid enough for that. I'm thinking of the fans. Anyone got any more points on that?
It's funny, I was watching Sky Sports News today, and it was on regarding, I think, the Everton situation with fans. It was also about the Crystal Palace with the new stadium and everything like that. I've been saying for a little while that, you know, even though I do love my football, it does piss me off the way that modern football has gone, especially the top flight. It's a complete, it's a business, but it's a business to the point where it's almost like an evil business. Fans at some point, even though I think we kind of want to live in this world where we're actually kind of, you know, we're respected and we're valued, we're not. Our money is valued. We are looked at as customers. We are cattle to business owners, to TV rights. Doesn't matter. You know, you could put a load of West End dummies with you know, music coming out and cheering chants coming out of the mouths, because that's what we're seen as. And I see now. It was funny, ironically, when we had this amazing atmosphere against Leicester. I knew the club were going to milk it for everything they could. They were going to get the players out, going to get praise and everything like that. But they're not bothered whether we make noise. They want it because it looks good for the business that the stadium's making noise and everything like that. Yeah. But that fixture change, it highlights everything that is wrong with football, because, you know, the players are going to be able to get there. They're in their 5-star luxury travel. You know, no problem for them. But if Sky and BT have signed this $1 billion agreement to show football rights, so any chance they're going to get every single game they can get, including, if you will realise, that West Ham, with the Chelsea game coming up, would have been our last 5 games would have been live on TV. So as embarrassing as we've been over the last few games.
Just quickly, while you're talking about that, I just had a quick look there. The last 3 p.m. kickoff that West Ham have had at home, and unless I've got this completely wrong, was the 30th of September against Swansea City. That's the last Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff. Every other game has been live on TV, which is either Saturday evening, Saturday early. Well, we haven't had that Friday nights and then midweek. Now, there's something not right there. There's something for me personally not right, and I don't blame that. I do blame a lot of it on the money, but there's got to be something else within that we don't.
You do question why we have been live so much, considering I know we're in a relegation battle and stuff, but when there's other teams playing, the top teams playing, you think, hold on, West Ham have been live 5 times or 4 times in the last month against, you know, and we've not exactly painted ourselves in brilliantly, have we? We've been more or less, it's been kind of embarrassing. We've been nationally shown to be a complete embarrassment to the Premier League with the way we're playing, and it's. You might be right, Anne. I mean, there might be something, a little deal going on behind. beats me why I've been live so much.
Something makes me think that I don't know for exact, and I could be just completely making this up, but I think clubs get an opportunity to put a request in for a change.
Yeah.
I think clubs get that opportunity.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that happens. So I think I just wouldn't be surprised if West Ham have put this option out there to say, can we move these games? Can we move these games? And then they'd be televised. Because obviously, like, games can be changed through television because they make the plan. What is it? Something like 2 months before. Like, so I couldn't plan travelling to a game now for March because they can completely change. But the fact that they've changed this game with 20 odd days notice, and there's talks of them changing the West Brom game as well, possibly.
And they put it down to the fact that they couldn't get things right for New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
You know, but then it was moved to New Year's Eve for live television, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or am I mistaken? So unless I'm wrong, it's been moved. So it's been moved twice.
But and that's the point still. Like, why, if they knew this game, a London derby, was going to take place at Wembley on New Year's Eve, why is it taking till the 4th of December to change it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it to do with Tottenham as well? Is it to do with their fixtures with the Champions League and what have you?
Apparently, it was to do. They blamed it on the Brent Council, who running, who oversee the Wembley area because they reckon they couldn't get the logistics right. But I think you guys are right. We could have foreseen this. This wasn't something that was just happening all of a sudden. And Luke, you're right. Money talks. I reckon it's the TV companies that are saying. Apparently, they would only guarantee 43,000 capacity for a New Year's Eve game, whereas they'll guarantee a much bigger audience for the 4th of January. And imagine it's live on, what is it going to be, BT Sport or Sky Sport?
Could be one of the two. Yeah.
And so what would be worse, showing a stadium that's only got 43,000 fans in it?
Exactly.
On the 31st of December, or showing a stadium that's going to have like 80, 90,000 fans in it.
I think they live in a bubble.
Yeah, well,
I think they think to sell the people, because if we show it, they will come, but they don't take into how they're going to come, and it's total, like, I can't even put into words how frustrating it is when you give up so much of your time through pure passion and pure love, and they the governing bodies and whoever else is in charge just go, yeah, it's fine, they'll come. But it's gonna show up. It's gonna either show us up or it's gonna show someone else up, because it's gonna look like a half-empty allocation or whatever you want to call it. It's just not fair. It's just not fair. But that's the way modern football is now. And for some reason, I still follow it with a passion. Call me naive and stupid, but yeah, it's something else to mug the fans off with, basically.
It's surprising. I don't know if anyone has ever watched Italian football. That I remember that years back when we started to watch live Italian games, and I've got ex-family who are Italian through my ex-wife, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened in England. Their crowds just went, as soon as Italian football started to go live on TV, their crowds just went down dramatically. People stopped going. You had half full stadiums, and I wonder, it's going to piss people off so much. Luke, you're probably right. One day people are going to start going, I ain't going. I'm not going to go.
I tell you what, Thursday, 4th of January, after the festive period, when in theory people are talking about the end of the month, people getting paid. Usually people before the festive period get paid before the festive period starts. So they have a 6-week month. So, and it's on a Thursday night. Like, it's just going to be I can just see it being mayhem for people to get to, and do you know what? That's a point I want to bring up. Like, we've always slagged off the amount of fans that you can't see at the London Stadium, but at Manchester City, I go to all these away stadiums and I'm looking down, and you can't notice it because there's a lot of blue seats, but there was a lot of empty blue seats. There was a lot of empty seats. So it's in theory it's there. It's starting.
It's there's been things before. We did Liverpool years ago when they walked out on the 77th minute, rather than just not going to the game. They were just protesting due to the ticket prices, and they were kind of. It made me laugh because I think before that, Phil Thompson was talking on Gillette Soccer, saying the only way to stand up to the ticket prices and the Sky and whatever you want to call it is to boycott. And then everyone went, no, they shouldn't boycott. They should stay and support their team. It's not going to help the teams. It's a bit like, well, it's hypocritical. But I don't blame people for not going. I'm sorry, I really don't. When you still got a fan base, majority wise, it's still working class. You still got people. Just because football's got a load of money doesn't mean to say everyone else is coming into a load of money. Right?
The fans ain't.
No, exactly. You know, I know so many season ticket holders of Premier League clubs, for example, Arsenal and Chelsea, etc., and Tottenham, who go to lower league football now, to their local clubs, and they say they get more respect and generosity from the lower league clubs than they ever would from the top clubs. So basically what you do is when you go to a top Premier League club like West Ham, you pay your money, you go through, you pay obnoxious prices for food and drink, and you sit there regardless of how the football's going to be. That's what you're going to pay. But you go to these lower league clubs, and that's just because they're just thinking, oh great, we're going to get more and more fans, more attendance, brilliant. But you pay a reasonable price. You don't maybe always have the best standard of football, but you get a great day out. The atmosphere is brilliant, and it's kind of showing up the obnoxicity of top flight football, which is just pricing fans out. And I don't know how our buddy afforded 2 season tickets in a row. I really don't. I've scraped and got there, and luckily enough I've had money at the side. But some people don't, and I do not blame people for not going to games because purely down to the prices and the fact that it's travel as well. That's rant over. Sorry.
I tell you what. Look, though, on what you're saying, like a massive shout out to Man City for what they have actually provided for the fans in and around the stadium. That fan zone that I witnessed yesterday was literally. But honestly, mate, like it was amazing. Like if I was a family man, well, I am a family man, but when I was a young kid, I would have actually said to my parents, like, take me down to the stadium 4 or 5 hours before. Anyway, when I was a kid, I did do that. There wasn't much going on. But yesterday, you can't fault Manchester City for what they've done. They've put on so much entertainment. They've got screens not just attached to the stadium, but off the stands, on the public walkways. They've got people singing. They've got football playing. They've got beer. They've got food. Pretty much what I think that the owners are trying to do at the Olympic Stadium, but they just don't have the ability to make it that atmosphere, which is what Manchester City have actually created. Like when you're a Manchester City fan going into that stadium, you're already buzzing. You are buzzing, and you've been buzzing for a couple of hours before because they're G'ing you up. They are G'ing you up.
Does help the way your team plays.
There's one big difference. The owners of Man City are willing to spend the money to do that.
Money.
The owners of West Ham aren't going to bloody well spend their money to entertain you before you walk in. Leave off. They're going to get you to try and buy a £8 hot dog with a £5 Coca-Cola or beer, and then they'll say, sit in that seat, be happy, cheer the team on.
Popcorn.
You want entertainment? You cheer the team on.
Do you know? It's like that scene in Oliver Twist when they're handing out the porridge, and then we're the fans. We're Oliver Twist going, can we have some more for our money, please? And then it's going, what?
You have nailed that.
You want more?
Yeah, you have absolutely nailed that. Right, so we've spoke about the fixture congestion, we've spoke about the FA Cup, spoke about Man City. We'll do the preview coming up for the Chelsea game. I suppose there's a kind of few things kicking about online. There's like loads of meetings happening with the club. You've got the bloggers meeting, which takes place between some of the well-known social media sites and YouTubers, etc. Then you've got all the kind of supporter club meetings. Then you've got the Real West Ham Action Group meeting. What's your thoughts on all of these meetings that the club are getting involved in?
I can't really comment, to be honest. I mean, we hear about all these meetings, but nothing really comes out from all of them, and we get fed so much hogwash on a daily basis, and nothing seems to be happening. Yeah, so I can't, to be honest with you, I can't really comment because I haven't followed the whole meeting situation very well. So I literally can't comment on that, to be honest.
Still,
I think it's interesting that all these groups are beginning to sort of shout out. I just hope that the only one that seems hang on, the cats are thrown everything out. No disrespect to any of these groups, but the only one that seems pretty much legit is the real West Ham fans group. There seems to be quite a lot of hardcore, long-standing fans there. Not saying that the others aren't long-standing fans, but they've got together. They're trying to force the issue in a way without, I think protest will be the ultimate goal if they don't get heard. These other groups, the bloggers groups, etc. I don't know much about them. So I don't know what their aims are, what they're looking to achieve. Whether it's the same as the real West Ham fans group. It looks like if the board are meeting all these groups, it looks like the board are beginning to listen. Will it make a difference? I don't know. I actually really don't know. Are they going to give in to one or two little things to make it seem that they're listening? Who's to say? Because I think that what the real West Ham fan group is talking about is if we're not heard, then there's protest. There are protest marches and various other things being planned. So let's see. I just hope the board aren't playing lip service. Just to appease. And I think only time will tell. But it's interesting. There's quite a lot of factions out at the moment. Wouldn't it be better if they all got together? How much bigger a voice that will be. Yeah. Rather than sort of like factioning off. Oh, we want this and we want that, and I don't know. I'm intrigued. I haven't followed it very closely. A bit like Richard, I haven't really. I've become part of the real West Ham group, but I haven't really had time to follow every single post that's being put up there.
Yeah.
But I know there was a meeting tonight, and apparently there was quite a big turnout as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And was there any unrest at the City game? Because we saw obviously the odd banner at the Watford away game. Was there any unrest amongst the away fans at the City game? It's nothing.
Not that I've seen, to be honest. I think if the players are gonna show up and put a bit of a fighting performance on, then the fans are always going to back the players. Like the fans, the impression I get is I feel like the majority are for board out still, like absolutely for the board out. Like I think the board maybe think that they're getting away with this because West Ham are putting a performance in. Absolutely not. But West Ham fans at the end of the day are supporting the club, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to be there when the board are gone. So no, I never seen anything, never heard anything. We seen a fighting performance and we just backed the team. Luke, what about you on all this? All these
I'm glad that people are actually putting their opinion and their heart out there and saying, listen, we don't just want to. We're not just moaning for moaning's sake. We've actually got something to moan about. This isn't because we're playing poor. This is a whole consensus thing. West Ham been poor for years. It doesn't matter what stadium you're in. It's just a different stadium people are in. I did hear a few things when we first moved that. You can say sold lies, but then there was actually a thing where I think from the first season in the first few months there was a meeting with Karen Brady with a load of season ticket holders from Upton Park, and they basically the consensus was that Karen Brady said a load of things just to get him out of the door and get her off her case. And I can't see many things changing. The only reason why is because that banner, for example, at the Watford game, a lot of people were saying they only done that because West Ham lost. That banner wasn't made while the game was going on. That banner was
was made well before.
That banner was big enough. Was going to come out regardless of the game, and it's just the fact that you happen to be at the game with the cameras on you, so that's going to come out. Like Richard said, I haven't followed it a great deal because I'm a season ticket holder at London Stadium. I've been behind the moves because I genuinely thought that we were going to. I loved Upton Park. Don't be wrong. Anyone listens to me now. Don't get the impression that I wanted to leave Upton Park, because I didn't. I thought it was great stadium, traditional, everything like that. But I thought to myself, well, football isn't football like the 90s and the 80s anymore. It's not like your working class roots where you go for a fiver and enjoy a pint for nothing more than a pocket money basically. But now it's changed, and we're not the only ones that have moved stadiums, and there are other teams in Europe who have got Olympic stadiums as their stadiums, and the fans have made it and all that. But it's bigger than the stadium, and it's about the owners making their lies and whatever their false accusations, and just being a complete embarrassment running the club. And look, you can have 1,000 meetings, but we've told 1,000 different things just to get you out the door. But hopefully, these guys are actually putting in the effort to get what they want out of it. If it's reasonable, I'm all for having a meeting, and hopefully, they don't get turfed out with another bunch of lies. Because you can only do it so many times. You can only tell them so many times before they go, right, you're literally not listening to us. We've had 3 or 4, 10 meetings you can have, but something's going to click. You're going to go and we're sitting here, we're telling you this, and it's basically like talking to a politician, because you can say to someone, oh yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that, but yeah, we'll do it. So when you leave the room, you'll find out in so and so time. Time will tell.
Probably brings us on nicely then to the news this week about Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, coming in to take control of our stadium because of the finances, the amount of money that the London Olympic Committee are losing.
Yes.
And how much it's costing the taxpayer. It's the worst kept secret. It is the worst kept secret. Everyone knew this was going to happen. West Ham owners knew this was going to happen. I don't think any fan is stupid enough to know that West Ham owners would love to buy this stadium and probably are going to get this stadium on the cheap. to add to their assets, to add to their sell-on factor. Anyway, Rich, what are your thoughts on the whole kind of change and the change of hands, and where do you see this kind of taking?
It's an interesting one because, obviously Khan wants to take control of the London Stadium. The conversion's been a mess. The public sector's bared a large amounts of the financial costs, and the rent, apparently in the article that I was reading, the rent doesn't actually include operation costs. There's been massive losses. I actually saw that Tottenham, when the whole bidding process happened, Tottenham wanted to demolish the stadium and rebuild it, and it was actually quite a sound idea. But being West Ham and the owners that we have, the money grabbing owners, they went, you know what, we'll take the running track. It doesn't matter. We'll take the stadium as it is, and that's why we won the bid. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But it's clear that Boris has mucked up the whole situation, and shock horror.
Still.
Spurs were never going to move to East London.
No, I was just thinking that.
They did it in order to. It was a bargaining chip for them to get money put into the stadium that they're currently building. Daniel Levy is a shrewd bastard.
Yeah.
He was never, ever, ever going to move Spurs to East London. Can you imagine Spurs being next door to us? No way.
Yeah,
it was never going to happen.
We could take the piss out of it, no?
Well, we could have, yeah. But yeah, I think Richard's right. The board came in and said, yeah, whatever. Give us a cheap rental deal, and we'll do whatever you want. And that's exactly what's happened. No one ever thought about the seating. Have you seen the back of the seating? It's not on wheels or whatever it was meant to be on. That just slides backwards and forwards. It's a construction site behind there. I'm not surprised. That you have to dismantle the whole thing when you got Olympics, when you got athletics there, and so on. And I don't know what Sadiq Khan's thinking to do, because West Ham are saying the contract is airtight. Yeah. Nothing you can do. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what he's going to try and negotiate. But I reckon you guys are right. I think, the board are going, you can't touch us. But I tell you what, if you give us the stadium for this much money, we might just take it off your hands. They're there to make money. Yeah. They're there to make money.
Look, I think what's still said, in my opinion, is what they have had planned from day one. And here we go, here's a little scenario for you. The board take over the stadium, they redevelop the stadium. I don't even, do you know what? It's a stupid question, because I don't even know if they would pay the money to redevelop the stadium. How do you foresee this whole thing playing out? Because I think the board are sitting there going like this right now.
Predictable. It was all predictable. The funny thing is that when you look at it, it's kind of like being offered a house, and you go, well, we'll give you a bungalow for free, or a shed outside for free, and you kind of go, it's a really nice house, but I wouldn't mind living for free, it's cheap, and you're paying nothing. No, honestly, it's look, we were hated by there was people in the business sector of London who said we literally, or Karen Brady herself, managed to get the deal of the decade by landing the stadium. And as a business mind, you're thinking, yeah, I'll that definitely. You're going, sod the old, the seats are crap, are they? Oh, never mind, mate. You know, you're asked to give it a sore. Don't worry about that. West Ham play all right. It's fine. You'll forget about it if we start winning, which you haven't done. So that's fucked. I don't think, I think the committee kind of went, well, someone's going to have to take the stadium on, and West Ham are the only ones who can afford to let them do it, and it'll keep the Olympic dream alive, whatever you want to call it, from 2012. It'll keep it all going. Everyone will still buy into the old Olympic thing in London. It's been one of the things from day one where I think the government have wanted to get rid of it, or they've wanted to get us out. They've made a mistake getting to give us in the first place. They've realised they need to know the money. This is all, as everyone said at some point, it's all predictable. And like you said, it's like the two evil twins going, this is playing right into our hands. But I don't think they're going to buy the stadium until basically Khan or someone else is on their hands and knees going, please buy the fucker. Just please buy the fucker. We can't take this anymore. Because they'll be going, yeah, we could buy it right now, but that rink...
We've got 97
it's
years
just,
left.
Yeah. Can you wait another 3 years, because we're making a right load of this at the minute.
They actually don't need to buy it. They actually don't need to buy it. If that contract is airtight, there's nothing that Sadiq Khan or anyone can do. So West Ham can just sit back and go, we've got a deal. It's
my worry,
another 98 years to go.
My worry is that there has been a few brown envelope deals going around somewhere. It would be totally typical of us, especially with the Dildo Brothers in charge, the way they work. Knowing us, I tell you, this is the funny thing, knowing us, we'll start winning at a stadium, we'll start getting higher up in the table, we'll start getting a chance to the success
in the championship
that they promised. Yeah, all right, negative.
Get out, man.
Anyway, suddenly we'll start doing well, and then everyone will come out and saying, "Oh, they got this on this deal. Karen Brady shagged so and so for this deal," and it's going to be like that. This is not going to be plain sailing. This is going to be endless. Continuously, it's either we're doing really well business wise but poor football wise, or doing really well football wise and poor business wise. Rather do well, football wise and have a home and whatever. But yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I am cleaning windows. I'm just move on. Let me go. I can't. I'd go on forever about this. But yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke.
The only winners out of this are going to be the board. They're the only ones that are going to be the winners out of this. Steve can't kick us out. No. And all he can try, Luke's right. All he can hope to do is to try and get a sweeter deal for the, for everyone that's not West Ham, basically.
The funny thing with Khan is the fact that I think he's almost kind of maybe tried to put attention off himself in a bad way, because ever since he said that thing about the terrorism in London, it's part and parcel of living in London, he's had this sort of tag on him saying he's not fit to be mayor. We don't want him as mayor. How can you say something like that as someone who's meant to run the city? And then it's like, okay, no one wants West Ham in the stadium. I'll try and do London a favour by getting them out. Because you haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything from Khan since he made that statement about the terrorism stuff. And it's like, okay, now you want to kick a football team out. And it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do with the stadium? The funny thing is, they can buy the stadium, they can get West Ham out, but what are they going to do with it? You can use it for Olympics, but Olympics is only every 4 years and whatever. Yeah. No one's going to watch that over football. I'm sorry, no one is going to come to Olympics at that standard, pay that amount of money for Olympics as they would Premier League football. I'm sorry.
Well, you would only get that once every 100 years anyway. So
exactly.
It's the football version of Brexit. You're going to have a bad deal one way or another.
and they're not do it for another 20 years when they said they're going to
do it for another 20 years. Yeah.
Oh God, we need to give that a name now. We've got. Oh God, I don't even know. Bipolar West Ham going through their own Brexit deal.
Brexham.
With Brexham, yeah. With what are they called? Del Boys in charge. The Trotters in charge negotiating £5 deals for players. and Brady, like you said, pumping every single guy in this.
But don't forget, Mark Noble did say it was not a club run like a circus anymore. So come on, lads.
I think he thought that.
Yeah.
I think he genuinely thought that.
Yeah.
And I think even,
I think we all thought that.
I thought that. I had a tear running down my that game, and I was like, "Oh, there's not a circus anymore."
or either he was looking at the stands going, yeah, it's not like a circus, you make me say this, you bastard.
Yeah,
You know?
where's my brown envelope? Where's my brown envelope?
Exactly, yeah.
Right, I think we've covered quite a lot. We are coming to the end of the show. It's Gift of the Gab. It wouldn't be Irons United if we did not give everyone one more last minute to talk about what they want. Their own
I'm off now, bye. I'm
their own rant whatever you want, positives, negatives, but I am going to start with yourself, Richard, because you're just perfectly situated right there. So on three, you can just talk about anything you want, obviously West Ham. 3, 1, 2, 3, go.
I think obviously we spoke about it earlier. The Man City game we can take positives from, but it will be a complete waste of a performance if we go to the London Stadium, play Arsenal and Chelsea, and just get steamrolled. We've got to take the structure back into those games. And in my opinion, we need to start with a striker, because the last 2 games we've tried this false 9 vibe. It hasn't really paid off. Ayu's looked isolated against Everton. Antonio was isolated against City. I think Saka needs to come in for the Arsenal and Chelsea games, just to give us a different dimension going forward. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get something from those games, because they're going to be very tough games. But I honestly do see us getting something from them. It would just be the West Ham way for us to beat Arsenal at the London Stadium with all the problems we've had. So yeah, come on, you Irons.
Excellent. With 15 to go, spare. So we'll add that 15 on to someone else. So Stelios.
Give it to Luke.
No, fuck off.
Another 15 seconds.
I'll do 10 seconds. So Luke has got about 2.5.
Yeah, he needs it. He needs it. Right, Stel on 3. 1, 2, 3, go.
Same. I just hope we pick up from where we left off against City. I really want to see Moyes keep to his word by picking players who are in form. I don't want to see him go back and start putting players in that have either let the side down, let themselves down so far this season. And I know we can say that most of the players have done that, but some of the players that were out there against City, I'm going to say Adrian, Rice, a few others are worthy of keeping their place, and I hope Moyes sticks to his word. I also agree we need a striker. I don't know what's going on with Saka. We know he doesn't want to be there, but whilst Hernandez is still recovering from his injury, Saka does need to start, because he gives us a completely different dimension up front, and he stretches defences. And Ayew didn't do it. Antonio still doesn't look right, does he?
You've got Richard's extra 15. Go. Keep going.
Okay. Well, that's it. I just want Moyes to keep to his word.
Right. Excellent. Good. Look, are you ready? Fans, are you ready? Irons United subscribers, are you ready?
Let me just get my stopwatch out for this one. Let me just get my stopwatch out. I love you, Luke. I love you, mate.
Look.
I'm like the freak of the fucking unit.
Right, on 3, 1, 2, 3, go. 1 minute.
Right, I'd like us to leave Hart back in Manchester, please, because I really don't want him to see him back in a West Ham kit ever again. I've got this fear now. I'm just going to go on to this. Antonio, I think, is actually going to be injury prone for the rest of his career at West Ham. I can just see it. I think he works too hard to not be injury prone. Really hope he's not done. I really hope he comes back really quickly. Quickly on Sacco, I've got a feeling Sacco might have changed his mind. I might be stupid, naive, and embarrassingly stupid by saying that, but I think he's maybe slightly working harder under Moyes. For anyone who thinks he should have finished that shot last minute yesterday, it was a lot harder than it looked. But you're a twat for not finishing it off, you prick. But yeah, it would have been a nice come 2-2. Thank you for the travelling fans, including Anton. Well done for chucking your nephew over the stands and all the fans, mate. You've almost broke your nephew for that. Well done. It's always worth it.
3, 2, 1, and you're done. Come back up for oxygen. Right, I'll start. 3, 2, 1. I take positives from the Man City game. I really do still fear for the next couple of games. we've got Chelsea, we've got Arsenal, and if we don't come out with them with any points, and do you know what, I need to be positive. I need to be positive, but I'm still really struggling to see how we can pull a victory out of these next 2 games, and then we're going to be sitting with 10 points, and then we've got this fixture congestion coming up. But anyway, I need to stay positive. I need to stay positive, and a bit like what Stell said, I want to see these players keep their place. Declan Rice, Adrian, for me, it's integral to prove what David Moyes has said when he first came into the club. And for me, Sacco, the whole Sacco situation, it's starting to piss me off a little bit, because see, at the end of the game, he didn't give a shit either. He never came over to the fans and clapped. Just kind of highlighted the fact that he maybe doesn't want to be there. And second, or maybe the last point I want to make, is I still want 2 strikers up top. I don't see the point in playing one absolutely isolated. I know we need to stop conceding goals, but equally we need to start scoring goals, because we need to win games. So, and that's my time up. Bosh.
You went way over time there.
102.
All right. Great.
So we've done our last minute opinions. Guys, make sure you subscribe to our channel. At the end of the day, I don't really know why I do this anymore. I think I'm starting to become like one of these YouTube people that go subscribe to our channel. I don't really know why.
It annoys me. It annoys me.
It annoys me as well,
yeah, but please do subscribe, guys. Please do subscribe. Yeah.
Any questions, leave comments below, and that's us. We are Irons United. Come on, you Irons.